It is truly a great pleasure to welcome Congressman Gary Peters. He is the Congressman from the state of Michigan and a member on the Financial Services Committee and the Science and Technology Committee of the Congress. It's a pleasure to welcome you.
Well, it's great to be here with you.
Congressman, Michigan especially is facing the turmoil rather more difficultly compared to the other states in the Union. And you have taken some great initiatives. So let's talk about your role in the Science and Technology Committee.
Well, it is true. We've gone through an awful lot here in the state in the last few months with the auto industry and what has really happened as the economy has collapsed around us. The auto industry, of course, has suffered a great deal now that Michigan leads the country in unemployment, and we may see that unemployment continue to increase as we're starting to stabilize. It's been a very, very painful time here in Michigan, but we also have to be optimistic about the future, and the future really lies with the incredible entrepreneurial talent that we have in Southeast Michigan, as well as the incredible technological know-how and creativity that we have. Many people see Michigan, and I run into this all the time in Washington as I talk to my colleagues in the Congress, is that they see Michigan as this factory and smokestack state, and certainly we have our factories and smokestacks, which we're happy to have and are proud of. But the state is much more than that. It is a very high-tech state in technology. We're a leader in so many areas. In fact, one statistic that most people are surprised to hear is that we have more engineers in Southeast Michigan than any other region of the country. There's incredible engineering talent, primarily associated with the auto industry and advanced manufacturing, and we need to build from that. And so my focus in the Science and Technology Committee, as well as the others, has been on making sure that we have partnerships to help research and development and to help entrepreneurs, because that is how we were going to get out of the problems that we have here in Michigan. It's going to be small to medium-sized businesses, it's going to be entrepreneurs, and it's going to be high-tech and alternative energy and advanced manufacturing. I just authored and had passed in the House of Representatives about a month ago a bill called the Advanced Vehicle Technology Act of 2009, and in that bill we authorize up to $3 billion to be spent over the next 5 years in private-public partnerships with companies that are doing advanced vehicle research in hybrids and electrics, hydrogen fuels, really the range, and not just in propulsion, but in materials research, every aspect of how we're going to transform vehicles. And we are in a race that is of utmost importance and that we have to win. We're in a race with the Chinese, with the Japanese, with the Europeans to build those next generation vehicles. There's no reason in the world the United States doesn't continue to be a leader in vehicles. We've got the talent, particularly here in Southeast Michigan, to do that, but we need to put resources in. Other countries put those resources into basic R&D and partnership. We need to be doing the same thing, and that's why I've worked so closely on this bill with our local businesses to get that partnership to grow.
I come from Silicon Valley, and I've been here for a week, and I see the yearning among entrepreneurs because I think the growth should be spurred through entrepreneurship, actually, as you rightly said. But there seems to be almost a consensus. There's not the right political will to help, because without the right policy, entrepreneurs can only do so much. We have to, gel together to move forward. So I want to understand why are, policymakers hesitant, or if they are not, then why the perception so different outside?
Well, some are, I suppose, and some get entrenched in the past, but you've got to understand that it is the future. I certainly believe in that. I come from an investment background prior to being in Congress and in government. I spent 22 years in the investment business. I understand what it's necessary to grow businesses, and they have to invest and nurture them, make sure they have the resources to prosper, and to create a set of circumstances by which entrepreneurs can flourish as well. And right now we have some of those challenges. I mentioned my Advanced Vehicle Act, which will have resources for research and development. The other challenges we're facing right now, particularly in this area, but really all over the country, is the lack of loans for small businesses, and that's one thing. The other issue that I'm dealing with in the Financial Services Committee is how do we get money flowing again from our banks with this financial crisis. We've made substantial investments into some large banks, but they continue to make it very difficult, particularly for entrepreneurs and startups, to get the capital they need to to invest in their business, to grow their investment, to make sure they have the working capital to pay payroll and do R&D and all the things that you have to do. And I'm particularly concerned with what's been happening in Michigan when it comes to the banking industry. In some ways, we've been redlined because of the problems that we've had with our auto industry, and it's even harder for entrepreneurs in this area right now to get the money they need to start their business or to grow their business. And in fact, I'll be holding a financial services field hearing in Detroit in the next month where we're going to specifically deal with some of the issues, not just in Michigan, but the Midwest generally is also facing some of those problems. And I think there needs to be a stronger appreciation from my colleagues in Washington that we've got to work with these small businesses, make sure their loans are there. The Obama administration just announced a couple days ago working to bring in more TARP funds for smaller banks to get money to smaller businesses because there's certainly the awareness there from the administration, which I share, that you don't create jobs in America if you don't help entrepreneurs and small to mid-sized business. That's really the engine of growth. So there is a growing awareness of that. We've got to deal with it on a variety of fronts, from capital to tax policy, also making sure that small businesses aren't burdened with taxes to the extent that they don't want to make those kind of investments. And also it's related to the healthcare debate that we have in Washington right now. That a thing that is very troubling to me is that most small businesses, entrepreneurs, medium-sized businesses, when they try to provide healthcare for themselves, often the owners or their employees, it is very, very expensive for a small business. You can't get the same kind of rates that you can get if you're an IBM or a General Motors or a big company that can buy into a big pool. And certainly a big part of the healthcare debate, and one that I've been working very closely on, is making sure that small businesses have access to a healthcare system that works for them and is affordable for them and doesn't put them and their employees at a disadvantage. So we have to deal with these issues on all of these fronts.
Let me take you down to the individual entrepreneur level. There's no better person than you, I think, currently who can understand this because you've played both sides of the game. And you could be a good proponent for entrepreneurship. If an entrepreneur who hears all this and the policies that are going to be in place, but at his ground level he's still struggling, what would you advise them, 1 or 2, 3 initiatives that he could himself take to approach government and other organizations to help his cause?
Well, it depends obviously on the sort of problems. Well, we work with small businesses on a regular basis in our office, and anybody who's watching this would contact their local member of Congress as well if they're having problems with the Small Business Administration loans or whatever it may be related to the federal government. We can be helpful on an individual basis. But I think from a broader perspective in answering your question is that entrepreneurs, small business people need to be active politically. They need to make sure that they're constantly talking to their members of Congress about the challenges that they face. Having this conference here today is great, and it's great for me to be here. I'm going to have an opportunity to interact with a broad cross-section of entrepreneurs that are involved in all sorts of different businesses, whether it's high-tech or all the different subcategories of high-tech as well as not so high-tech, but nevertheless the engines of growth. So that is what entrepreneurs have to do, is to make sure that they're making sure their members of Congress and their elected representatives understand their challenges. I think they're receptive, but information is power. You've got to make sure that information is getting out.
Congressman, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
My pleasure. Yeah, thank you.